Hey everyone, my name is Jack. Welcome back to the channel. I cover a variety of topics as they relate to investing and personal finance, so if you like that sort of content, be sure to have a look around the channel, and if you like what you see, be sure to subscribe. But this is another one of my M1 Finance tutorials where I'm going over all of the benefits and drawbacks and all the features with this platform here, M1 Finance. But if you want to see any of my other tutorials about M1 Finance, definitely check out the playlist in the description below, or it'll also be linked at the very end of this video. But in this video, I want to go over M1 Plus, which is M1 Finance's premium subscription, which gives you a number of perks, and I want to explain when using M1 Plus would be worth it and when it would not be worth it. But the base version of M1 Finance is free, and you can open it up without having to pay anything. There's no account minimums or anything like that, and usually make their money in more subtle ways, like actually lending out your cash, or if you use margin, they'll take interest on that, and they'll also make a very tiny amount of money on spreads during transactions, but there's no commissions otherwise, so it is free to get started with, and there's really no cost to you to actually open up anything. But if you want to upgrade your account and get access to some better features, then M1 Plus could be a very nice option for you. M1 Plus currently costs $125 per year. I got it on a promotion for, I think, $65 for the year, so I know they do promotions at times, so you don't necessarily have to pay the $125, but that is the base rate, so I'll just go with that when I'm going over the examples for when it would actually be worth it. But in summary, M1 Plus gives you 1% interest on the M1 Spend checking account, which is also free to open. It gets you 1% cash back when you use the M1 Spend debit card, which is really nice since it's a debit card and it gives you cash back, so that's kind of a rare feat in itself. You also get a reduced interest on your M1 borrow rate. This is pretty big, since right now the base interest rate is 3.5%, so if you were to get M1 Plus, it would drop your interest rate down to 2% on your margin loans. That is very low. I don't know if there's really any better that it can get for margin loans, at least when we're talking about small accounts, since you only need $10,000 in the account to get access to margin, whereas with many larger brokerages, you need to have a ton of margin if you're going to get down to those low rates. You also get an additional trading window, since M1 Finance is a little unusual in that you can only actually purchase stocks or sell stocks at the 8:30 a.m. Central Time trading window in the morning if you have the free version of M1 Finance. But if you use M1 Plus, you get an additional trade window at 3 p.m. Eastern Time or 2 p.m. Central Time. So this gives you a little bit more flexibility when you're actually trying to place trades on M1 Finance. Keep in mind that M1 Finance is really tailored for longer term, more passive style investors, less so for day traders. It is really not well tailored for that, but this does help if you're trying to take advantage of a particular price movement in a day, since every now and then you get those weird black swan events where you get a really great buying opportunity that might happen in the middle of the day and it might be gone the next day. So this gives you an extra opportunity to take advantage of those price movements. Hopefully long-term M1 Finance will have unrestricted trade windows and it'll just be all day. That would be great. But right now it is limited to the one in the morning and then the second one in the afternoon if you have M1 Plus. And the last major feature is smart transfers, which I'll explain in greater detail in a moment, but it allows you to automatically move your money around based on certain thresholds that you hit, so you can really automate a lot of your cash management. So let's go over a summary of when M1 Plus would be worth it to pay that $125 per year in membership fees. Well, for one, if you had about $8,300 in margin, that would equate to about $125 in interest savings for the year, since you're getting that 1.5% interest rate deduction when you use M1 Plus. So that's a substantial discount above that, since you're only paying $125 for the year, but you'd be saving well above that in interest if you were using more margin than this in a given year. Similarly, for the M1 Spend account, if you have about $12,500 in M1 Spend, then you're making all of that back with the 1% interest as of now, so you get back that $125 in annual fees by having that sitting there in cash just making interest. Or if you spend $12,500 with their debit card, then you would make back the $125 in the year as well. Another time it would be worth it is if you like the full automation and you really want to take advantage of smart transfers. Again, I'll go over that in just a second. Or if you value having that extra trading window for some extra flexibility in when you can place trades, then of course, however you want to weigh that, that could make it worth it too. Of course, you can use a combination of these things where maybe you have $5,000 in margin used through the year and you have maybe $20,000 in M1 Spend, then that would be worth it too, just from a pure monetary covering the cost of M1 Plus. That could make it worth it. Depending on how you value each of these things and how much you use, then it could be more worth it or less worth it. It depends on your specific situation and what you're trying to do with M1 Finance. But let's go over the smart transfer system. I'll show you a little bit of what it is. If I go here to transfers and hit move money, then you could actually hit smart transfer right here and it will give you these options right here. It'll allow you to set a maximum cash balance for your spend account. So whenever you add more than that to the spend account, it will automatically get transferred to one of your invest accounts that you designate. You can do a similar thing with spend under balance, where it will always try to refill that first when you add cash if it falls below whatever that balance is. Or you can set a maximum value in a particular invest account. Say you have a dividend-oriented portfolio and you don't want to reinvest the dividends, you're trying to live off them or use them to invest in other things. You can have it move the investable cash to your spend account, and then you can keep it as long as that investment account is over some threshold that you set. So it will automatically transfer the cash to your spend account so that you could then use it like a typical checking account. So that's a nice way to automate some of your income and cash management as well. It's not going to be trapped in your brokerage account. It will automatically be moved to your spend account if that's what you want to do with it. And I think one thing that they don't mention here is you actually get your ATM fees reimbursed, if I'm not mistaken, with M1 Plus. So if you use cash withdrawal using your M1 Spend account, you can get those ATM fees from a different bank reimbursed by M1 Spend, which is a nice little perk. But otherwise, that's M1 Plus. M1 Finance is still a relatively young company, so they're adding more features consistently, but this is the current package for M1 Plus, and it can be very much worth it if you have a significant amount of money on the platform, since that interest rate deduction is very substantial, and you also get the slight interest rate boost, the 1% on your checking account. The fact that you get any interest on a checking account is nice, and then the 1% cash back on a debit card is also very nice. And of course, you get the automation features with smart transfers and also the extra trade window, which could be really helpful on a big market moving day. But if you guys have any questions about M1 Plus, definitely let me know in the comments below. Or if you want to see more about M1 Finance and all the features that it offers, since this was just about the premium service, it doesn't go over all the base version of M1 Finance, definitely check out my other tutorials in the playlist linked in the description below or linked at the very end of this video. Or if you don't want to hear me talk about the platform anymore, it is free to open up an account, and if you use my affiliate link in the description below, you can open up an account for free. There's no minimum balance or anything like that, and you can see if it fits your investment needs. But if you guys found this video helpful, definitely leave it a like, since that would help the channel out a lot. And if you want to see more content about investing, I cover a lot about stocks and real estate specifically, then if you like that sort of content, definitely subscribe, since I put out new videos every single week and wouldn't want you guys to miss out. But until next time, take care.